The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guest and are not necessarily those of WPSL or WSTU. This station does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without the express permission and written consent of this station. Phone lines are open for your questions and comments. Call 220-9788 or 340-1590. And now, here's your host.
And you're in the studios with the Treasure Coast Car Guys. Welcome back. Steve Friend from Treasure Coast Lexus. Gary's here, too. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow,
And we're live, too.
We are.
Yes, we are.
So last week we were very privileged to hear about Gary's vacation up the coast. And unfortunately, he's not venturing out up the coast today with all the snow.
Yeah.
My sister lives up there. She says they're getting hammered. So.
And
It's amazing.
And I have grandkids up there that have probably 2 or 3 good snow days. So good for them, I guess.
Yeah.
So a couple things of interest this week that we'd like to share. First off, the big topic in our industry right now is about these driverless cars. And one of the things that caught my eye the other day that I read was Intel Corporation, okay? They purchased a company called Mobileye. And Mobileye is an Israeli high-tech company that manufactures and developed the sensors and cameras that will be in these driverless cars.
Okay.
And it's a tremendous acquisition. And what it tells us is that besides the manufacturers working on developing these driverless cars, there are certain tech companies that are working in unison with the manufacturers, and it's an explosive field right now. So
It makes me want to go, they're all working against us.
well, what I will say is this. There's been a lot of chatter and some really great articles online about how people are going to adapt to it. And really, the thought process now is that it's going to be more on a commercial basis
Okay.
than a personal basis. Because let's face it, people in this country, specifically in this country, they have a tremendous love affair with cars and trucks. So, you know, people that they survey are not so quick to give up the enjoyment of driving a car. But keep in mind, you have taxi cab drivers, you have commercial drivers. Right now there's a big tractor trailer that is being fitted with this driverless software and hardware. And I'm sure you read a couple months ago, and I think we might have even mentioned it on the show, that this 18-wheeler was a pilot truck that was developed to deliver beer, Budweiser beer, if you remember.
Okay.
And it's driverless with an 18-wheeler with a full load. And the biggest fear was that, you know, you could hack into the system and you can divert the truck over to one of the college campuses or a frat house and get the beer.
Yeah.
So
Got a mixer.
hey, everybody's clapping on that one.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that a lot of the experts are saying, though, that the driverless cars are going to be more from a commercial standpoint. So-
Okay, but that does, now looking at that, it would put the driver out of business. Again, we're eliminating jobs. Every time we get these really cool tech things, we put people out of work.
Well, we're not advocating to put people out of work.
Yeah.
This is just something that the industry is beginning to evolve. And I'm sure that the investments, these multi-billion-dollar investments that are being made right now in the technology fields are going to replace a lot of those jobs, too. So you might lose on one end, okay, but it seems to me that there's going to be thousands and thousands of jobs that are going to people are going to be needed to be able to develop this, to be able to maintain it, and think that, you know, I would assume, and I'm just speaking for myself now, driverless cars, like airplanes, you need a control tower. You need people who are going to be able to direct and control and work the networks. However,
You need
it's gonna
people
work.
to fix them, too, still.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine the GPS. I'm sure that makes it so much. I mean, you've seen these control centers for trains where they have all the different monitors and things. But GPS in a vehicle, you probably can watch it with your iPad.
You probably could. As long as it's not cloudy outside, you'd be all right.
So along the same lines, this is a very interesting article. This was from Seeking Alpha, one of the stock magazines that talk about different investment processes and what have you. And they had an article, and it's entitled, "Don't Sleep on the Self-Driving Car Revolution." And basically, I'm just going to read one small little paragraph here, is that California is on track to be the first state to allow self-driving cars to be tested without human backup driver in the vehicle. The first truly autonomous test could begin in the state later this year. Qualifying cars will have to meet federal safety standards or have an NHTSA exemption. So basically, what we're seeing now is this is kind of a state-by-state approach to be able to license these technology-built cars that are going to be able to be tested on the road. So California, being the largest car market, okay, in the United States, that's going to be where the majority of that testing is going to be.
Boy, do they have traffic too, so.
Yes, so I guess it will be a real test.
Yeah.
And there are multiple car manufacturers that are going to be involved in these tests. But it's interesting because Google and Intel, just to name two, are making a lot of associations with manufacturers and a host of different companies. So it seems that it's going to get very interesting. And the field of corporations and businesses and technology companies that are coming into this, it's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity from stock offerings, from as far as the technology with all the parts that go into this, with computers and processes and everything else.
And engineers to maintain them.
Yeah, I still want a George Jetson car that flies me to work.
Well, remember the movie
fly me
with...
to
It's coming. I mean, it's not around the corner, but there are models now that actually I saw a couple of them on the internet, and with companies that show how the wings open up and they take off vertical like a helicopter and just fly away.
Well, the Fifth Element. Fifth Element. You seen that movie with Bruce Willis and Milo? I can't remember the last name. It's one of those long Russian names, where it was futuristic and Bruce Willis was a taxi driver and had cars that were flying and stuff like that.
Well,
That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, look at it this way. Amazon is experimenting with drones to deliver the packages. So, I mean, that whole transportation avenue, whether it be cars, planes, jets, flying cars, this is the future. And it's coming quickly. Even though
I just saw an ad for that. I don't know if it was an ad or if they're showing how it might work, where the drone is like part of the truck and the driver never leaves the truck. You just the drone lands on the roof and you hook up the next package and you fly. You don't leave the truck.
Yeah, we might get drones in the service department, Steve, so we can deliver the parts from the parts counter to the technicians. What do you think?
No, I think we need drones to pick the cars up and deliver them right
To the
back
people.
to the client.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot more fun.
You have to have the Marines to do that with that big chopper that they have.
It's interesting because the buzzwords now, I guess in order for the technology to work in these driverless cars, the two words that are the big buzz right now is artificial intelligence. And we're going to see tremendous strides.
Because this car now needs to see everything, maybe more than what a driver might see, because we do miss stuff as drivers.
Exactly.
Yes, we do.
And it's going to be machine revolution with computers. You know,
Hitchhikers will be out of business. The cars will never stop.
I think you're right. Never really thought about that.
Yeah, me neither.
So another couple things we were talking about last week and several weeks before that about this dramatic shift in production from passenger cars to sport utilities and to pickup trucks. And there was a very interesting article the other day in Automotive News about days' supply of cars. And what that basically means is that when dealerships purchase cars and trucks from the factory, they try to model their inventory on a 60-day turn, so the cars don't get old, number one. When you have an old car on the lot, unfortunately, the tires develop flat spots, it might need a battery. So it's a lot more work for dealership personnel to be able to service and maintain them and make sure that there's no issues with the cars. So the shorter the amount of days in stock and the faster the turn works a lot better, obviously, for the dealership and also for the client. So because of this tremendous shift to sport utilities and pickup trucks, it appears that there are several manufacturers that have an aging inventory of cars on the ground at respective dealerships. And if the average is what manufacturers want and dealerships want is 60-day turn, it's interesting because there are manufacturers now that are more car heavy than sport utility heavy, and the average for that is almost 239 days in stock.
Wow.
So once again, you have to innovate and keep innovating. And if the public makes their mind up that they want these sport utilities and pickup trucks, the smarter and more innovative manufacturers are the ones that can shift gears very quickly and turn the production up on the most sought-after models. So it's just a very interesting article as far as the dynamics and the shifting.
And they're seeing this nationwide. It's like, is it market to market, or is it just pretty much the whole country?
This is nationwide.
Yeah, I think gas prices kind of drive that too, don't they, Steve?
Well, you called the other day and you said to me, "Have you noticed the price of gas going down?"
Yeah, it's crazy,
and it's dropped significantly.
But it goes. Well, I was telling Steve the other day. I have a rewards card from a fuel station, and they sent me a 25-cent off of a gallon of gas up to 20 gallons for my birthday. And I went to one of the local gas stations around here, and the gas was like $2.45 a gallon. And then the next day I'm driving up the street and it was $2.19. And then when I'm going home, it was like $2.40 again. And this morning I was coming up and it was $2.19 again. So I mean, it's all over the place. And in North Carolina, it was $1.99.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's, I guess, back when I was really looking into gas prices and things like that, they say that it depends on the refineries and the locations of the refineries and how fast and the cost of the transportation to get the fuel at the gas stations and stuff like that. But
even the difference between like here and say Kissimmee, the gas is much cheaper in Kissimmee always.
I don't get it.
I think that different counties and different cities have different taxes.
Yeah.
And that's what really influences more than anything.
Yeah. See, and I would think that we get our gas from down south. They probably get their gas maybe from Tampa.
Yeah,
yes, there's more refineries, I believe, in Tampa area. So,
but regardless, where it is right now, it's a great price point because it's not really impacting consumers buying sport utilities and trucks that are not as quite energy efficient. Although you look at a pickup truck today compared to how it was 10, 15 years ago, when it's basically double the mileage. And people used to say, "Well, my pickup truck used to get like 2 gallons to the mile." Okay, now you can have pickup trucks that get 22, 23, 24, as much as 25
I'm a Lightfoot guy. My RX, I can get 25, 26. So, but I keep it in eco mode. And,
well, you're better than me because I can't.
I was thinking the same thing.
So, what I wanted to ask you, Gary, I know that we have some really great service specials this month.
We
do. And then we're going to touch that, and you can share with the audience about some of the reasons to come into our store, the Lexus dealership right now, for service and maintenance. But also, we're going to touch briefly on airbags and recalls.
Right.
So hopefully we can give some good information to our listeners for that as well.
We just got a lot of information from Lexus and Toyota about airbags, and I'll share that with you in a minute. But a brand new flyer just went out. And there's some really awesome specials in here. And I want to say to the listeners that, we also work on Toyota products, Toyota automobiles. We can't do warranty work on them, but we can do the maintenance on them as well. Unfortunately, they're not eligible for loaner cars, but, they can come in on a weight basis, or we can shuttle those clients back and forth. But what better way to get your Toyota work done than a luxury car dealership? So anyway, what we've got going on right now is regularly we do this complimentary engine diagnosis. That's something that we do all the time. If you've got a check engine light on in your car, you bring it in. We'll diagnose that for free for you, let you know what's going on with it, and provide you an estimate to fix it. Also, we've got a Saturday service special going on right now where you get 10% off your entire bill if you bring your car into the dealership on a Saturday to get the maintenance done on it.
Gary, what do we normally charge for diagnosis when the lights come on in the dash?
Well, it depends. It's $125 because you have to get into scan tools and health checks and things of that nature.
So this is quite a bargain.
It is a bargain, and we'll give you an estimate to what it is to fix that car, and you can choose to either fix it or ride around with your light on. Or in the old days, put a piece of tape over it. We don't recommend that, by the way. So I actually had somebody call me up the other day and said, "Can I just put a piece of electrical tape over that?" And I said, "You can, but it's not going to fix your problem." We have a do-it-yourself part special, 20% off on any in-stock part over the counter at the Lexus store. That's about brake pads, rotors, anything that we have in stock. You're good to go. Senior citizens discount bonus, 10% off of any service on your Lexus for our senior citizens, which we love. We have customer appreciation cash out there. It's $25, same as cash. You can use it for anything, no questions asked. Our military, we honor our military. I'm a veteran, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart. $25 off of any service every single day that you come into the store. We've also got our nitrogen and alignment specials, which is near and dear to my heart because we save trees. We're not going to branch off into that this time, but when you purchase a car from us, we automatically fill it up with nitrogen, whether it be a pre-owned certified car and or a brand new car. But if you don't have nitrogen in your car, you can bring it in here, and we will do a nitrogen tire fill for $39.95. And with that, we'll do a special wheel alignment with the nitrogen at $69.95. And I know a lot of places alignments are, gosh, they're running $100 these days. So
just to plant that idea, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's really interesting because the benefit of having the nitrofill in the tires, which we've seen now several times, is that when you get the blowout and something happens with the tire, you bring that car back to us, and that car is warranted, the tire is warranted, and we will replace that tire. So there is a tremendous benefit of having nitrofill. Besides a little bit better gas mileage, the tires do run cooler, they should wear longer, but it has a road hazard guarantee. And
just having it wear longer here in Florida that's a plus.
Yes, it is. They don't get as hot. Nitrogen is near and dear to my heart. I love nitrogen. I have it in my motorcycles, my cars, and everything. But the nitrogen fill program that we have, they give us a $200 credit per tire. There's not a lot of Lexuses out there. The tires cost more than $200. Mm-hmm. So, and we absorb the rest of the costs for that. So, but if you buy 4 brand new tires in our dealership, not only do they get filled up with nitrogen, you get extra benefits, roadside assistance stuff and keys and lockouts and gas and things like that. Our tires, if you buy them from us, they come with a 2-year road hazard insurance policy that is good at any Lexus dealership until across the country.
And really, Gary, the thing about tires, and I know we discussed this a while back, but interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know that you can go to a car dealership and buy tires. And not all car dealerships do stock tires, but our 2 dealerships do, and we stock, pretty much anything that you would want, and if we don't have it, it's just next day delivery. But what's interesting about it is that we have a price guarantee, where if it is the same exact set of tires, okay, tire for tire, we will match or beat.
Right.
And that makes us an extremely competitive player in the tire market, because you do have some companies out there, and independent companies that strictly specialize in tires, and we will compete against them with no problem. But here's the caveat really to the consumer, is that if you look at a specific tire for your car, you probably want to come to us driving a Lexus or Toyota, because we're going to give you the tire that the factory recommends. And, most people don't realize that even though if it's the same size, there could be 6 or 7 or 8 different types of Michelin tires within the same size.
Sure.
Well, here's something that's really more important, Steve, to parlay back on what you're saying. A lot of your big chain tire stores, they buy tires in mass quantities. Tires are, just like technology, tires are always being redone. So we do not stock tires that have been discontinued by a manufacturer. Like Michelin just discontinued one of their most popular tires, but when they discontinued it, they replaced it with another tire that is comparable or better to the one that they discontinued. So, we had a client come in that wanted this certain set of tires, and we were explaining to them, well, this tire has been discontinued. And they go, well, that's not true, because the guy down the street that sells tires says they've got a ton of them in stock. I'm going, you know what, that is a true statement, but here's the problem with that. If you drive that car for 6 months or 7 months and you have an issue with that tire, then you take that tire back to them, they will not be able to replace it with the same tire because they don't make it anymore. Like Michelin, once they discontinue a tire, you're out. So we keep our tires fresh all the time. And in the coupon, the mailer, there's competitive tire pricing as well. So that's a very good point, Steve. Tires, matching tire prices, we do it all the time. We're very competitive, but we're going to put the right tires on your car, period. That's what we
for,
do.
sure.
OEMs or OEAs. OEM, that's original equipment manufacturing, or OEA is called original equipment alternative. But these tires are recommended by Lexus. And Lexus engineers, when they build their suspensions and they put these tires on the car, everything matches. The car rides great, it handles good, and the tires wear like they're supposed to. So that's just a little tidbit to be aware of if somebody tells you that.
And in addition, there's a thing called dry rot on tires. And that occurs when you have a set of tires on a car, and let's say you're up and back and forth, a snowbird perhaps maybe, and the car sits here for months at a time, and you use it very, very little.
And it's in the sun.
Yeah, and it's in the sun, and
Right.
the car could be, they could be sitting with very, very little miles on it, and you could 7, 8, maybe 10,000 miles on the tires, and they could look brand new, but it could be a very dangerous situation because of dry rot.
Right. And another situation too I want to address is the DOT numbers on the tires. This is an old misnomer. There are no real expiration date on the tires as long as the tires are warehoused in a controlled environment, which we have. So if it's, we can tell what day, the month, and year that tire was manufactured, and a lot of educated consumers can tell that as well. But we may have a tire that came from our tire supplier where the tires were stored in a controlled environment. That tire might be a year old, but that's perfectly fine to have that as long as that tire is not outside in the sun and the heat. So older tires is not a problem.
I know we emphasize the tires so much on the show, but it's really probably the most important piece of equipment on the car.
Oh, I was telling Steve the other day, I'm riding down the road following all these cars, and I'm focused on this kind of stuff, and you see cars that the tires are, like the right tire will be okay, and then the left tire will be spread out amongst the roads. So remember that statistic we were talking about, that most of the accidents occur from tires that are underinflated and stuff like that?
The number was over 30,000 accidents a year.
It was crazy.
And thousands of people who get killed because of that.
But when the tires are underinflated, they spread out on the road. More heat is absorbed through the tire, so they have a tendency to blow out a lot more.
And they wear on the edges.
And they wear on the edges. And there's another statistic. They say that like 1 out of 10 people check their tire pressures all the time. It's so important. You just have to do it. You have to do it. So anyway, the coup de grace for our flyer that's out there right now is we have a thing, and this is very popular. It's called a spring car spa special. So what we do with your car when you bring it in is we do a complete detail. That's clean the interior and the exterior, and we hand wax it.
Towels, Turkish.
Yeah, Turkish, Swedish things.
It's like your car gets a mani-pedi.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is. It is.
It's a spa treatment.
Yeah, we shampoo all the seats and the carpets, and we condition the interior trims, the dash, and the tires. Then after we do that, we do some mechanical work to it. We'll do a health check on the car and hook our computers up to it, make sure all the computers are talking to each other like they're supposed to. There's no software updates that the manufacturer has sent out that need to be uploaded into the computer. If that's the case, we'll do that. We'll top off all the fluids. We'll adjust the tire pressures. How about that? Mm-hmm. Do the onboard computer function checks, change the oil, rotate the tires, and do a complete fuel system service on the car. All for $388.88. That's over a $200 savings, and it's very popular around here. So we love to make our cars look pretty. But that's what we've got as far as that, plus our always complimentary multi-point inspection. We do that with every car that comes in the shop, and you get a report that lets you know what's going on with your automobile.
So along the same lines, we thought it would be important to talk about recalls, automobiles. Mm-hmm. So, amazingly enough, 53.2 million cars and trucks on the road are affected with recalls at the present time. Now, I'm sure that...
Now, is that just Lexus and Toyota? Or is that... Okay.
No, that's
Sorry,
across
I was
the
thinking
board.
because I got one.
No, that's all manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that is a tremendous
It's the
quantity of
airbag
cars.
thing, right?
Well, they say there's 40 million defective airbags currently. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, Lexus has a much smaller amount, approximately 400,000 airbags, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And what we wanted to talk about is a couple of things. Lexus is the only manufacturer right now out there that is offering an additional incentive if you're driving one of these affected cars. And just to give you an idea, our airbag recall on our cars, and Gary's going to get into a little bit more detail, is on the front passenger side only. So the car is drivable, obviously, but for the people who wish to just upgrade, get new technology, and really just get rid of the car, which is certainly an alternative, Lexus really is very sympathetic and understands the inconvenience part of it. So they offer incentives to the tune from $1,500, okay, up to $2,500, depending upon the automobile that you buy. So, for example, our CTs, ISs, ESs, NXs, and the RX 350, if you have one of those affected and you purchase one or at least one of those cars, you would get an additional $1,500 incentive. So, and keep in mind, on a 3-year lease, $1,500 could be another $45, $50 a month off. So it's significant. If you go with a GS or RC, which is a small quantity of those cars that are impacted, you would get a $2,000 incentive. And if you went with the GSF, RCF, LS, GX, or the LX, you would get a $2,500 additional incentive on top of everything else that we have to offer. So Lexus Corporation really does understand that inconvenience. And so for the people who are looking to trade that car, and if they were thinking about it anyway, first thing we do is we run a Carfax, because some people don't even know that they have an affected car, even though the notices went out. So we would alert them. And likewise, when a car comes into service, whether it be just for a car wash or anything else, I know, Gary, that we do run a service history on the car.
National service history through
And
Lexus.
yeah, and that way it identifies a potential recall.
The clients don't even know about a lot of these recalls that are out there, and we catch them when they come in the lane.
What's happening with the recall? Is it is there new airbags going in the cars? Are you
asked.
way out scheduling,
I'm glad you
or
asked.
That's the question that
I
we
keep
get.
ignoring mine because I'm like, yeah, take the dash apart.
Well, can I tell you? Yes, you do have to take the dash apart to do it. But
Well, I don't drive a Lexus, so it makes me a little nervous.
well, I mean, I'm going to let Gary speak to that issue. But you know, when it's done right, you never know, and it doesn't create any rattles or creaks if that's what you're worried about. So you know, you got to bring it to a trusted shop,
Right,
obviously,
right.
that really knows what to do.
That is a scary thought, to have the dash taken out of your car. Along what Steve was saying, as far as Lexus is sympathetic to these clients, Lexus is the only manufacturer out there that is, if the client feels uncomfortable driving the car until the remedy, which is the parts become available, they will put them in rental cars. Fortunately, we don't have enough loaner cars to put them in, but we send them to our local enterprise or Hertz or even our Toyota store, and we give them alternate transportation, and they don't have to pay for that. Lexus is paying for that, and it's to the tune of over $100,000 a month just in our store. So,
So you can see that Lexus is really quite concerned about taking care of their clients, and it's nice to know that we're the only manufacturer that gives options, whether it's an additional incentive
Right.
to trade up from that car, or whether if you're not comfortable for any reason, no questions asked, we'll put you in a rental car.
Now,
And,
these airbag defects, how far back do they go? What years are we talking?
Well, our cars go back to 2006.
Okay.
You know, I think several months ago, Steve and I were contemplating talking about this recall thing, and we decided that we would, to get a little technical on that, to give people an idea as to actually what is going on with these automobiles. I want to reiterate to our guests out there that these airbags will not detonate while you're driving the car down the road. It has to be involved in an impact
Right.
or a collision of some sort. And it has to be involved in an area where the sensors pick up that, okay, the car needs to have the airbags deployed. So what happened with these airbags is many, many years ago, Takata Corporation, when they built the airbags, they didn't put a desiccant inside of the airbag inflator module. There's a chemical in there, it's called phase-stabilized ammonium nitrate, and it is susceptible to moisture adhesion. So anyway, if you bought a pair of shoes someplace and you see a little bag in there, that's desiccant.
Okay.
That's all that is. It absorbs moisture to keep moisture away from anything that's not supposed to get into. They didn't put non-desiccated phase stabilized ammonium nitrate in the airbag inflator modules in a lot of these Takata airbags that are being recalled. That's what it's all about. So good news for Lexus owners.
So is it some cars have absorbed moisture and then that function isn't going to work?
Yeah, well, what happens with that, Veronica, that's a good question. What happens with that is that it degradates the inflator module itself, and that inflator module it's encapsulated in a module that has metal in it. And what happens is that the gas doesn't react properly, and it makes a larger explosion to extract the airbag out of the inflator module. And when that happens, it brings the pieces of the inflator module, which are metals and things like that, out into the airbag, which can cause, obviously we've had some issues with that.
Sure.
Not
Okay.
Lexus. Lexus has never, ever had an issue with this. I want to reiterate that. Lexus has never had an issue with that. They say that the degradation takes effect in Zone A, which we are, high humidity, high temperature, moisture areas, in 6 to 9 years. So our cars, and this is only in 2006 up to, they're going to probably be 2015 cars eventually. But I don't want to scare anybody, just keep in mind that 9 years is pretty much the cutoff date. So they just added the 2012 models to this. But here's some good news. We have in stock right now airbag modules to fix these cars for 2006 to 2012 IS 250, IS 350, and ISF cars. The IS 250C and IS 350C we're supposed to see, and that's for the 2010 models, we're supposed to see those airbags in June.
Just to make it clear, the 250C and 350C are
the
convertible
hardtop
models.
convertible models, yes. And then the 2011 to 12 IS 250C and 350C in September. Here's some more good news. A lot of our clients, one of our most popular automobiles that we sell is the ES 350. The 2007 through 2009 ES 350, which Lexus is saying there's 142,000 of them on the road in Zone A. Those airbags are going to be available this month. So as soon as we get those airbags to our clients that are in those cars, we're going to start notifying them, and then they can turn their rental cars in, and we will fix their automobiles.
Now, also along the same lines, Gary, they will get a letter mailed out from Lexus notifying them, yes, that the parts are available. I know the IS letters went out.
Yes.
And then what we do also, we take our lists and purge our lists, and we have our client care center that we have 9 employees in there that call the clients
Proactively.
and we want to notify them parts are in, and if they want to wait, we can do it in 3 hours or so?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we can do it in 3 hours. Our guys are good. We've been replacing dashboards in Lexus cars because of the Zone A thing again. High humidity, heat, and temperature. We've had a problem with dashboards cracking and getting sticky and melting. Again, Lexus and Toyota are the only manufacturers that I know of that are going, you know what, we're sympathetic to that as well, so we're replacing those parts. These guys that work for us have gotten very good at replacing these things, so yeah, they can do it pretty quick.
And
we'll fill the car
and we
up.
only really have master certified technicians doing these particular processes.
Yes.
So we have the best of the best with the highest and best trained technicians in the country doing this. So the fear as far as, taking the dashboard out and putting it back in.
Sure.
I had an SC430 and it had a passenger side airbag. And it's funny, I thought about that. And I said,
You're thinking fit and finish, and you're thinking noise.
What I will tell you, absolutely perfect, no issues, and you could never tell that the dashboard was out. There was no rattles, creaks, no noise, nothing. So I mean, it's something that's necessary to get changed.
Sure.
And
I mean, because it's a humidity thing, that we're talking all cars with passenger side airbags. Then.
Well, not all cars, okay, because not all cars from every manufacturer are impacted. Okay.
Okay.
It's the non-desiccated airbag modules. So I think that a lot more of this is going to come out, as we get further on down the road.
Because not all of our cars are.
I mean, this is a really big headache for car dealers, and it really is no fault of car dealers at all.
Well,
this is the airbag company created this
here's
issue.
the thing, yes, and it is very strenuous. It's stressful. However, we also look at it as an opportunity to cement better relationships, and people who've never really came into either of our two dealerships to be able to show them what we're about. And I think that, in every situation, even stressful as that might be, there's still a blessing in it. So we have an opportunity to meet new people, to reacquaint ourselves with other clients. And the way that we look at it is that, yes, we got to get the cars in here. We got to get it fixed. And I know that it is an inconvenience. However, we're going to clean that car up when we're done. We're going to fill it up with gas. Yep. And we're going to make sure that everything is right, and we'll do a multi-point inspection. So we do the right thing and take care of it. And even though it is a major inconvenience on both sides, we just want to make sure that our clients are safe, they're taken care of, they understand it completely. And I know a lot of dealers, they don't want to talk about it. We think that we have an obligation.
Well, the numbers are scary. The numbers
well, they
are. Those are.
I mean,
yeah.
Really,
yeah.
we have a small percentage of cars for Toyota and Lexus, but we still.
I mean, for the individual customer, that's one day. But for the dealer, it's going to be a constant flow of people who need their car fixed.
It strains it strains our staffing capabilities. We're putting on extra shifts at work, and our guys are staying late and Saturdays. And
keep in mind, we still have to accommodate regular clients, what have you. So,
right.
So it's you have to bulk up your staff, you have to increase your hours, and we got to make sure that all of our systems are in place and that we're ready to go.
Yeah, we're going to get this done. We're going to get it done. Back to the ES, I think I left off 2007 to 2009. Those airbags are going to be available this month. We will contact you, or you'll get a letter from Lexus, one of the two. We won't miss you. ES 350 2010 to 2012. The anticipated remedy, which means parts availability for that, is in September of 2017. The GX 460, we have a handful of those cars that are involved. 2010, we're supposed to get airbags in June. 2011 GX 460 will get airbags in September. And 2012 GX 460 will get them in December. The LFA, which I haven't seen a whole lot of those around here, that's April 2017. There's only 180 of those cars out there. And of course the IS 250 and 350, the 2006 to 2009, we've got those parts and we're getting those cars.
Here's something also that we need to share with everybody is that if you're looking to purchase a pre-owned car and through an independent dealer, for example, it's very, very important that you ask them to run a Carfax, because there might be cars that are available for sale in dealerships and independent stores where there are airbag issues and recalls. So you want to take a look at that and make sure. Now, for example, our two dealerships, when we were apprised of these airbag recalls, we made it very, very clear to all of our employees and the way we market our cars and sell our cars, we will not sell and deliver a car with a faulty airbag. It's just as simple as that. Morally, I think we're under an obligation to do right. It's not even a thought, really. It didn't take us more than a second to develop this plan. It's wrong. So we would never want to deliver a car with that kind of an issue. So, and I'm not saying that anybody would, but I think it is important that if you go to some of the independents that might not have the same resources that car dealerships have as far as knowing the recalls and stuff, it's really important to run a Carfax, because if it does have an airbag recall, you really just kind of want to stop. Or if there is a remedy available for that, you might want to, if that's the car that you want to buy, you might want to make sure that they take it to the respective dealership and get it fixed.
We caught two of those in our drive this week, that the cars were purchased by an independent car dealership, because they can sell whatever they want, I guess. Two of them, that the cars had just recently been purchased, that came into our drive that had airbag recalls on them open, and we happened to have the parts and we fixed the cars right away.
And we're not judging any other dealerships, whatever, because they run their model the way they want, but we're just cautioning consumers that whatever model you want to buy, and if you're buying it, whether it's from a private party, or if you're buying the car from an independent, okay, we've made an offer months ago, and that you want to buy a Lexus and it's not from a Lexus dealership, we invite you, no charge, bring that car in and let us do a full point inspection on the car and give you a multi-point inspection report to determine whether or not you're getting what you think you're getting.
And we'll look at the national service history through Lexus. We can tell where the car's been worked on. We'll look at the Carfax, and we'll keep them up to speed as to what's been going on with the automobile.
And we're not here to ruin the sale for other dealerships or anything like that. We just feel that it's really important to know that you're buying a safe, credible car with a good service history. I mean, how many people want to pull a Carfax and a car's 5 years old and there's no service history? That's not probably the car you want to buy.
Yeah, so we've run into that before.
But do you pull a history and you can see it up to a point, and then does it drop away?
I
mean,
can
that
see,
happen?
We see that sometimes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can see a lot of stuff that goes on with the car through the Lexus National Service History Database. I can see if the car's been worked on by a Lexus dealership or a Toyota dealership. I can't see if it's been worked on by an independent, but then you back up and look at the Carfax, and the Carfax will let you know that it'll say right on there, yes, the car has been regularly maintained, and you can see. It's almost mandatory anymore that these cars are reported because of the safety issues. It's dangerous out there, people. Everybody drives a car, knows that, and it gets scary.
We pull Carfax on every potential trade-in, and we have to appraise it accordingly. When we see accidents, multiple accidents, sometimes you see, it's kind of crazy, but sometimes you really see three or four accidents.
And you're like, this poor car.
Yeah. We've seen people come in with shiny, almost brand new Lexuses, and they were lemon lord cars that they bought, cars that had salvaged titles that were wrecked and rebuilt. So these are things that we're offering that service for free to people, to bring that Lexus into our store and let us just do a quick diagnostic check on the car and make sure, and run a report and make sure that you're not buying yourself a problem. You know, clearly we would want people to buy from us all the time. We know that that doesn't happen, especially the fact that 45 million pre-owned cars on average are sold every year, and there's a lot of independent dealerships that do that, and they're good independent dealerships. A lot of private parties. But you know something? People who own a car privately, they don't look up at Carfax. They don't look at it themselves. But good news, you can actually download a Carfax application now for free. And if you swing by either of our stores, we can show you how to do that. And this way you can track your service history. And most independent garages, and I would probably say 100% of new car dealerships now report to Carfax.
Right. Another thing I wanted to mention, too, we were talking about the airbags. If you're not sure if your car is involved in any manufactured car or anything, you can go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website, and one of the first things that pops up, it'll say Takata Recall, and it's on the middle of the right-hand page of that thing, and you can click on that. You can put your VIN number in this drop-down box, and it'll tell you if your car's involved in any type of recalls. Doesn't matter if it's airbags or anything.
You know, it's interesting, and we said this just a little bit ago, that Lexus, because of the type of company that they are and the culture that they have, the reason why they introduced this incentive program, if you want to trade one of these cars with the airbag, is to make you whole. Because when we appraise a car, and any make or model, and there's an airbag recall on the car, we're going to take $1,500 to $2,000 off the price, just like every other used car operation is in town.
Because you can't retail it.
Well, there are dealers that do, and they have clients sign a release. We don't advocate that at all. We don't believe morally or ethically it's the right thing to do. So we don't do it.
Now, would you hold that car until you have the parts and then fix it, or?
Well, if it was imminent that the parts were available, we would consider that. But we're not a storage facility, and it almost becomes impractical to do that because nobody would really have enough space to be able to hold.
Everyone's
that many
right.
cars.
We're gonna probably start getting some trades for some ISs and some ESs and stuff. And yeah, we've got a remedy notification in parts, so we may hold those cars for a week or so, Steve.
So
we're holding one right
if
now,
the remedy is available, they don't really qualify for this trade-in program.
Okay.
So most ISs right now are fixable, no problem putting a new airbag in. But the other models that Lexus carries right now are eligible for this pretty big incentive. And it's Lexus's way to even the playing field with the value of the trade-in. And I'll repeat, they are the only manufacturer that does that. And, we're very, very proud to be associated with Lexus because it's just a company that doesn't have to think twice. They do the right thing each and every time. And that goes for the parent company, Toyota. It's the same thing. Now, Toyota has a little different program, the way they do things. But they're very conscious of it. And, there's no right way to do the wrong thing.
So what you're saying is if you own an ES350 that is involved in this Takata airbag recall, you've got maybe 2 weeks to get in to buy a new one, and you'll get the $1,500.
Well,
the airbags are coming, folks. They're on the way. There's no remedy yet.
I think there is truth to that, Gary.
Yes.
But we're certainly not using that as a tool. But,
No pressure, right?
No
right,
pressure.
no pressure.
No
But
pressure.
if you do have one of them, I mean, why not? If
Sure.
if you're in the market,
If you're
you're
ready.
thinking
About
about
it, sure.
thinking about it, there's 1,500 more
It's free
reasons
money.
to be able to do it,
Exactly.
and up to 2,500 more, depending upon what you buy. And we've done quite a bit of them. So the older cars, going back to 2006.
2006, correct.
So, that's 11-year-old car. That's probably the shelf life, really, where even though they'll go forever, that's the shelf life. So it really makes sense if you are looking to trade up to technology. It's time to do that. Just to shift gears for a minute, I have a really cool story.
I
what
like that
happened.
shift gears.
Okay.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So we're in the showroom the other day, and this is really a great story. So some folks from Vero Beach drove down to service. What happened was they had an older RX, and they traded in that car, and they purchased a new RX, and a particular RX had running boards on it.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, the woman was very uncomfortable with the running boards because she had a sciatica problem. And she just wasn't comfortable stepping up on the running board. So it would have been a lot better if the running boards weren't on it. So the people brought the car into service, and they explained the problem. And I just have to say how impressed I was, how our team just jumped into action. And Gary got involved right away and surmised the problem. And it was really, the running board was not applicable because for her, it just wasn't a good option because it made her hurt more. And, she didn't have the proper access into the car, in and out. So Gary made a very quick decision in seconds. We're going to take those running boards off. And just taking the running boards off, it's not like it's bolted underneath. There are panels that you have to replace and do it. But he took care of it, and we put it on another car. But the interesting part was no questions asked, and we didn't charge her for that at all. And a couple days later, I meet the clients inside the showroom, and they walk in with shopping bags. And the sales consultant came over to me, and I went and I introduced myself, and we were talking, and they started to tell me the story, how they met Howard Kent, one of our Lexus sales associates, and they were extremely impressed, and they traded up into this new car. And everything was great. They were very, very happy with the dealership, and they complimented our delivery specialist and everything about the store. And they brought in presents for everybody that they had contact with.
Wow.
In these shopping bags.
Right.
And I'm just watching this unfold, and it just is incredible when you see a level of appreciation like that, because you don't see that very often, and for some reason we see a lot of it. And it's really heartwarming to see. And they walked around and they gave out these little presents. And they also gave cards. And if they're listening, they're going to know I'm talking about them now. Well, the running boards was a giveaway. But they gave these cards and pictures of tulips. And I remember when she showed me and I opened up the card, I smiled because the tulip happens to be my wife's favorite flower. And we started talking about tulips, and lo and behold, they also have a home up north, and they
Because you don't really get tulips here, do
Yeah.
you?
No.
I guess it's New Jersey or Holland. But anyway, so I believe that they were from New Jersey, they said. And they have a lot of land, and they have these tulip farms. And These were pictures of them, this beautiful landscaped area growing these tulips in all different colors. I mean, it was just really just absolutely beautiful. And
you got to take tulips, and they had them put on a card. Yeah, I have it sitting on my desk.
And then they came back the next day and gave me a disc, so I can show my wife all these beautiful tulips. But it really struck me that people would drive 45 minutes from Vero Beach to come visit us, to hand out presents to everybody who had a moment of truth with them. And I say moment of truth because culturally speaking in our dealership, every time someone either calls, emails, writes, walks through the door, comes through service, it's a moment of truth. And we are judged exactly at that first moment. You know, they say first impressions are everything. And to listen to these people bragging about our employees and everything that they've done, it really makes it such a win-win situation. And we're in a difficult business where so many people are intimidated to come into dealerships. A lot of dealerships still use old-fashioned tactics, which really don't make any sense, because one thing about our industry is that
I was thinking that maybe at a different brand of vehicle, they may have wanted to sell those folks a new car.
Well, I tell you, that was a very, very expensive proposition to take those running boards off of that car and put the thing, because just the panels alone were like $900 a pop. So that was $1,800 worth of parts that had to go on the car, because when you pulled the running boards off, it left a big
missing pieces. Huh?
And they're probably
they would have paid it.
Maybe
they would have paid it.
Right. They would have.
But
we can't do things that way.
We can't.
It doesn't work that way. And you know, we really believe with all of our employees in both stores, if it takes more than a second and you're thinking about it, it's wrong. So just do the right thing, and it pays such significant dividends. These folks went online and they wrote a review.
Oh, they did, yeah.
On Dealer Rater. They sent back the survey that Lexus sends out, and it just makes it nice, because what we've learned in the last couple of years is that the whole car buying process has changed completely, and how people get from point A to point B has changed completely. So the internet basically rules, and social media rules. So, for example, if you wanted to go out to dinner, and I'll make this short, and you've never been to that restaurant, and you go online and you Google the name of the restaurant, and they have 1 star out of 5, chances are you're not going to be going to that restaurant.
No, we're not going there.
So the reviews online are really important. And what's really cool is that both our Lexus and Toyota store, if you add them up together, there's probably about 1,000 reviews. And our Toyota store with Dealer Rater is a solid 4.8 score, which is an amazing score. Okay, and our Lexus store, I think we have 331 now recommends in Dealer Rater. So, you know, that's indicative of the culture of the dealership, straight from the owner down to all the employees, whether it's the person who washes the car, the guy who turns the wrench, the lady who writes up the service ticket, the controller, all the way down. And all of our 150, 60 employees, they all understand and are trained that, you know, this is the way we do things. So if you are in the market, I encourage you to go to www.treasurecoastlexus.com or www.treasurecoasttoyotaofstuart.com. And first thing you want to do once you isolate the car you want is look at the reviews. And I think once you see that, you'll definitely want to come and do business. So our Lexus store is located on Midway Road. On US 1 just south of Midway Road. And our Toyota store is 18 miles south on US 1, right in the heart of Stuart on the east side of the street.
Both of them easy to find.
Yes, so come down and see us, and we look forward to serving you.
Back next Tuesday, you're listening to the Treasure Coast Car Guys on WPSL Port St. Lucie, WSTU Stuart.